is time now for today's Talkback segment. Each day we post a question on Court TV's social media pages. We gather your comments and questions and respond right here on the show. Today, missing 5-year-old Harmony Montgomery was beaten to death by her father for having accidents back in 2019. Now, according to the newly unsealed arrest affidavit for her father, Adam. So we asked you, who do you think failed little Harmony Montgomery? Here to discuss, criminal defense attorney and independent prosecutors Franz Borghardt and David Bruno. All right, gentlemen, our first comment comes from Valerie. Valerie says Harmony's mother did not protect her, and DCF certainly dropped the ball as far as giving custody to her dad and not checking on her for years. There's no question about it, David. That was the issue. But here's what happened. We found out from a judge who was involved in the case that the court who gave custody of Harmony to Adam didn't know about his background. His mom was scheduled to be in another court, and rather than change that around, I don't know who to blame there, whether it's the courts or her attorney, rather than change that around when she was involved in something with her other son at the time, so that she could be involved in this one and perhaps bring this to light, they didn't make any changes at all. So none of this information came out. I always wondered, David, how bad did mom have to be for this guy to get custody? Well, I found out today they just didn't know how bad he was.
Oh, that breaks my heart. It really does. I mean, this is, you know, I've seen this because I do criminal defense, and then there's some domestic violence, and then there's some parental issues sometimes with Department of Child Protection and Permanency. And it seems like, I mean, there's all kinds of systems and processes all set up to vet when custody is changed for a child, a minor, because the standard is best interest of the child. I don't care what state you're in, all across the country. When there's determining custody and who has rights or who's going to take rights away, it's the best interest of the child. And when you're transferring custody, the right thing to do is to vet every single possible option for the child to make sure they get into the best place. And this system failed her, and I bet that they failed a lot of other children in this jurisdiction if this is coming out.
No question. And one has to, I mean, who's representing her? You know, the mother, her, but who's representing, you know, the DCFS has to be representing her. They should have brought some of this out. It just, it boggles my mind, as you said.
There should be a guardian that's appointed in a case like that for the child to represent their interests as an attorney. And that should have been done, Michael. I don't know it close enough, but I'm sure that should have been done. Yeah, and you know, we don't know all the details, so I don't know how it all went down, but that's just sketching it out there. Sounds sketchy at best. All right, our next comment comes from Janice. Janice says, stepmom needs to be responsible too. Now, Franz, earlier you sort of alluded to that, the idea that she could be an accomplice in this thing. And you know what? She's the one that saw this happening. This wasn't an isolated incident. She talks about this happened over time. He was brutalizing this child, and she says nothing.
So oftentimes in abusive child abuse relationships, she might have been getting abused as well. So I'm leaving room for the possibility that she might have gotten a little bit of what Harmony got. That being said, you know, it's 2023. We are seeing officers prosecuted for not going into schools. She's going to get prosecuted, and I'm predicting it June 20th, 2023, DCFS or whatever the Child Protective Services entity is called in that state, someone in that entity is going to get prosecuted in this case. This is the prototype case, right? Systemic failure across the board. Why didn't Child Services do more? Why wasn't the kid represented in that court proceeding? This is to me at least, I'm sitting here thinking, this is the test pilot case for some kind of negligent homicide. Look, he's going to get the brunt of this, but somebody is going to get prosecuted from that state agency.
Yeah, heads are going to roll. And rightfully so. Yeah. Without question. I agree with you 100%. All right, David Bruno, Franz Borghardt, thank you so much for joining me today. Really a pleasure to have you in studio. We got you all week, so I'm excited about that. Folks, coming up next, we review the